Good morning to you, our audience. Ted and Ed TV channel welcome each of you to our weekly Saturday broadcast where we give insightful views on economic, political, world, and environmental issues concerning how money connects those matters. Our hosts, Mr. Ted Harvey Sr. and Mr. Edward Bishop III, are now taking each of you into our world of money and its value, along with the evils that come from the greed of hoarding financial power. He that controls the gold controls the important decisions in this world.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ted and Ed Money Connection. Thank you for joining us this morning. Good morning, Ed. How are you feeling this morning?
Man, I'm doing great, Ted, and we have a lot of things to talk about today. We have a lot of crazy things going on out there, so we want our audience to hold on and let's get going.
Well, we have some tough stories here, and a lot of things is going on. But the big thing in politics, what's going on in politics, it looks like number 45 is losing everybody around him. Can you please tell me what in the world is going on? They had this guy, his secretary, and left. And I just read this morning that, or last night, one of the DOJ, the third person in line, just resigned. So I don't know what's going on with politics there. This thing is crazy.
Well, 45 has a lot of stuff going on there, and each one of those items that you talked about has its own storyline. His secretary resigned and stuff because of sexual abuse allegations, which he says he didn't do. But when you got a picture of a woman who has a black eye, and you say you didn't do anything wrong, and she's your wife, and she's been living with you, something is wrong there. Now, I'm smiling here, and I know you are smiling here, but this stuff right here, man, is serious and stuff.
Serious.
Sitting out there, and you want to beat your wife up or your spouse up or whatever, and then deny this whole thing, you got a big problem going on. And for the Trump administration and stuff to have this guy that's sitting there, now they knew that he had done this. And that is the worst thing about it and stuff, is that they knew, a lot of the people in this administration knew about it back over a year ago, that this guy and stuff had this problem, and he couldn't get a security clearance and everything because of that. And really, actually, the FBI and stuff had an interview and stuff with both of his wives and stuff about what the heck happened and stuff with him, and they have told some gruesome stories about this guy and what he has done and everything and stuff with him. And to have him to be sitting there in their administration and walking around and dealing with security issues and stuff and everything, and he doesn't have a security clearance, it makes their White House look awfully bad. And then to really find out about it last week, and it was brought to light and everything that it was going on, and then to have the White House to say, well, we want him here because he's a good guy. It is just unreal, man, about this Trump White House. They have stuff going on, man, constantly. I really don't even know how they take care of normal business in the West Wing at all and stuff during the week or any time.
But check this out. He was going with the secretary of the president,
Hope Hicks. I know.
Hope Hicks. Yeah. I'm saying to myself, I mean, she probably thought she had a real nice little catch, because the fact that the man was a Rhodes Scholar and he has a law degree from Harvard or Yale or one of those Ivy League schools.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was well connected. So she's been connected with, 45 for a lot of years, being his personal secretary.
Absolutely.
So I saw an interview on CNN. One of his ex-wives was on there. She said, well, if it hasn't happened to her yet, it will happen.
Well, now that he's left the White House, I'm pretty sure that she's probably going to go ahead and drop him like a hot potato. But we don't know. But the fact is that Trump and everything did not say anything about what he had done. The only thing that he had to say was the man says he's innocent. you have a sexual abuser trying to defend another sexual abuser, because we continue to realize and stuff that Trump has the same problem. Matter of fact, he still has the same problem. He is abusing his wife right now.
Well, absolutely, and
Yeah.
you know, I wish someone would check your chief of staff, Kelly, because it seems like he a kind of an abuser himself, huh? I mean, my goodness.
He looked like it. Man, he really dogged out our congressman from Florida, there from Miami.
Yeah,
You know, gave her a real hard time and never apologized when he lied about her.
never apologize.
Never apologized to her, and some people continue to bring it back up, but not everyone can bring it back up. But supposedly now, because he knew about this stuff for so long ago, and now all of a sudden, you know, he's all sending out emails to the staff and telling the staff to lie to the press that he just found out about it. And because he just found out about it and he fired the guy and everything, or he told the guy to resign, that he wants to limit his liability and stuff in this whole thing. But he's got some liability that he's got to deal with. And whether,
you know, I got my doubts about this guy because number one, he lied about the congresswoman. He sit there and praised General Lee like he was some kind of special person, and the man, we know he was a treason to the United States. And then he turned around and dogged out the Dreamers, calling them lazy. You know, I mean, just calling a group of people, you know, like, you know, in other words, you know, what he called the congresswoman, empty bucket, or something like that, or empty hat.
The empty bucket. That's what he called her, the empty bucket.
Yeah, and so I think we know where he's coming from when it all boils down, you know.
Well, that's the legacy there in the White House, man. Those guys and stuff, they following their leader. It's their leader is the one who sets the example. I was listening to a program and stuff the other day about how everybody is looking at our past President Obama, how he never had any of this stuff going on there in his White House. Everything stayed well. And they looked at it and they said, well, him being the leader, that everybody else is going to follow him. So there wasn't a lot of mess going on there because he was Obama, no drama. He didn't have any of that stuff going on.
I used to call him
follow your leader.
No drama Obama. That's what I used to call him. No drama Obama.
And so we are very, very lucky to have had him. And as the days and the weeks and the year go by, we understand that we had one of the best presidents that we ever had. And we're going to miss him dearly because this guy who's in the White House.
We're spoiled. Man, we're spoiled, man.
This guy is something else, man. I couldn't believe that and it may get worse. We don't know. We don't know what's going on. And then I see you brought up the fact that the lady who was in the Department of Justice, the third person and stuff in the line of progression there for the Attorney General's job, that she resigned.
Yeah.
And Trump just nominated her for that position, 9 months ago? And now she's all of a sudden, I'm resigning. And nobody knows why she's resigning and stuff. There's a lot.
She don't want to get caught up in that mess.
There's a lot of stuff on. But Trump nominated her. So it's not like it's somebody who was already there when Trump came or when Sessions came. She came in because they wanted her to come in. And now for her to resign, and they're saying, well, her friend and stuff was saying that she resigned and stuff because she found a job at Walmart making a lot more money and all that. Well, she could have found a job at Walmart 9 months ago.
Yep.
So, there's something going on there, and it's ugly there in that White House.
Well, when you said something going on, I can tell you right now, there's something going on with Steve Wynn.
Oh man.
They sort of kind of keeping it hush hush, but by him being the finance chairman of the RNC, it's I was just reading an article the other day. They were saying that is something that's underlining where he was getting all this money from, and a lot of people, because of his international connections, they want to look at those receipts. They want to look at the books and find out where a lot of this money is coming. Where is it coming from? Foreigners, across country? Was it any Russian connections that was giving the money to, some money to RNC? Because you got a lot of these oligarch Russians. They putting their money everywhere. They dropping it everywhere. Whoever would take it, they because they trying to get influences, and so they can get decisions, so they can buy stuff. So that's one of the things that we should keep an eye on as far as Steve Wynn. He sort of he just resigned from his post as the head. Now he runs the whole, all his casinos and everything. He's the CEO, the president, the chairman, all that mess. And now he resigned from all of that. I'm sure he's still going to be in it doing something, but basically he's sitting down as far as running all his companies.
Well, Ted, there's a lot of dark money and stuff out there, and this Trump administration. Trump himself is dark money. He that's his middle name, Trump, dark money. And those people and stuff that he's got there and stuff, and with him, all those billionaires who are taking over these secretary jobs of the cabinets and all that, they have a lot of dark money and stuff behind them, and most of them are about money. And they put Steve Wynn in there as the RNC finance chairman because they figured that he had a bucket load of money that he can throw in that to the RNC and continue that funnel of money and stuff, that big flood of money that the RNC needed to keep their people in power. And I'm pretty sure that we probably will never find out and stuff what's going on with Steve Wynn, because it looks like Steve is going in, and a lot of times those big billionaires, they're going into a shell, and you'll never know what's going on and stuff with him. And Steve Wynn is very, very, very good at that. And most people and stuff don't know that Steve Wynn is probably 80% blind.
Is that right?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
He is. He's 80% blind. And he does a very good job with his casinos and everything. When people look at him, they think he's all right, but he's 80% blind. Wow. And he sees very little, and there's a problem and stuff there with him, but he still is a very, very strong person. He has a lot of money and stuff behind him, and being a casino magnate, man, he has an unlimited amount of money and stuff available to him to do whatever he wants to do. So even with him gone, Steve Wynn gone now, I'm pretty sure that there's a long list of people who they want to bring in and stuff to be the RNC finance chairman, who has access to more floods of money. They have, they have so much money that they don't know what to do. Well, unlimited amount of money.
Talking about floods of money, what about this shutdown budget deal? They've been clowning around for the last month, 2 months. What is going on? I mean, can these people do any work, man? I mean, come on, man. You can't even do a budget for 1 year.
Well, they did pass a budget for 2 years, but they didn't fund it. They passed a budget, but it hasn't been funded. So come March, they're going to have to fund the government again. But they did pass a budget. So you got those smoke and mirrors out there. And it's, man, Congress and this country and stuff, Ted, man, I have no idea. Just like you and I were talking about earlier, is this the new normal?
Yeah. Is this going to be the new normal?
Yes, this the new normal.
I just think, we are Are we going to be in the new normal? Is the thing is that I think it will be the new normal because a lot of politicians have fallen over to, and if you listen, but in a way, they don't have the gravitas as 45 has, because he has no shame. You know, these people can be shamed. You know, they find one little thing on them. Oh, I got to resign. You know, if you find some little dirt on them, they're going to resign because you know what? They have to look their kids in the eye and they have to look their family in the eye. This guy don't have any shame. A prostitute comes up and says, yeah. And he has no shame. It's almost like it had never even happened. You understand? So that's what it is. He has no shame. He can make a mistake, you know, that'd be 5 times worse than most people, and he don't even care. He don't even care. It's like didn't even happen. He just moves on, and it doesn't show in his face either. You know, as far as you know, when people are ashamed or hurt of things, what you know, they found something true about you. Yeah, I did. You know, yeah, I did it. You know, I shouldn't have did it. I apologize. This dude, he don't apologize for nothing. I mean, you know, I remember when President Obama made a couple of mistakes. You know, you remember when they had that big hullabaloo regarding and I think it was sabotage when he was doing the Obamacare, as they call it, and the computer system was a problem, and they had messed that whole thing up. And I really believe that was sabotage. But he came right out and took the blame and said, we got to just work it out. He didn't hide it. He didn't go around saying it was somebody else's fault. He took it on his shoulders. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem because, see, 45 is not going to take the blame for nothing. When the stock market went down and 2,000 points, it went down 2,000. And you haven't heard a word from him. And then he turned around and said, well, what's wrong with these people? What's wrong with these people? We get good news on the unemployment and they want to tank out. Well, the problem is they were just doing profit taking just like they normally do. You know, like when the stock market goes up, hey, I just made $10,000 on just buying 50 shares or 100 shares or 1,000 shares on this stock. So I'm gonna get my money back and I'll keep what I got in there, but I'm gonna take that profit. And that's what they're doing now. They're just doing profit taking, you know, and they're trying to figure out where to put their money at, or, you know, because a lot of these companies, you know, of course, they bringing their money back and all they doing is just buying their own shares back. So that's all they doing. So, and, you know, and then giving all this money to their officers and CEOs, all these commissions and stuff like that. So it's to me, it's just, it's a game, man. And that's what they're doing, because what they did was all these people that invested in their 401ks and their retirements every week, they, you know, when they get paid every 2 weeks, they put money into it, and they put money into all these different shares and all these different companies, and the stock goes up, and a lot of people put extra money. Man, only half the people in this country don't even invest in the stock market, the working class.
You're probably talking about more than that because they can't afford to. You know, they don't make money to invest in the stock market.
Let the truth be told, only 25% really invest on a weekly, monthly basis. Most people, you know, they invest because they have to if they want some kind of retirement on their 401k. Because these companies don't give retirements no more. You know that, right?
Absolutely. And they are, most of them are taking that money and giving it, these companies are taking these money that they're getting, and they're giving it to hedge fund managers who take their money and stuff and use it. That's why you have that BlackRock that you were talking about last week or week before last and stuff. They are almost $1 trillion money market company and everything out there taking and this guy is wheeling other people's money and everything into power.
That's right.
He's using other people's money and stuff as power, and that's the name of the game and stuff now for our folks and stuff out there. So we look at this stuff and everything every day. We're looking at it, and a lot of people and stuff don't have time. A lot of our audience don't have time to just sit there and listen to all this disaster stuff that's going on and what's happening. So most of them are just concerned about
day-to-day living.
Am I going to have a job tomorrow? Am I going to have a job next week and everything and what they're doing? And and we don't realize this stuff now, but this is a big time and everything for the urban areas and stuff. People in the urban areas who are sitting there who don't have a lot of money. This is tax time. And tax time is our biggest hedge against whatever monies that we don't have. So we go out, we file our taxes and stuff, we take those big refunds and everything and throw it away.
Yeah, because when you get, if you get $2,500, $3,000, $4,000, whatever back in taxes,
a lot of them are getting more than that. Most of them are averaging between $6,000 and $7,000 back.
So if you're getting that kind of money, what you're gonna do? You're gonna blow a couple of $1,000 right off the top, or you might get a new car or a new secondhand, third-hand car. Or whatever, you might take
buy furniture or a washing machine or whatever, and before that even happens, Ted, you have these companies and stuff like H&R Block and all of them who are sitting there at the places and stuff where Black people do their business at, and they're sitting there and they're giving people, telling them, well, we're going to give you your money early. But there's a fee that they don't tell you about, because the interest and stuff on that money and stuff is tremendous that they're giving you, because they come up and find out that, all right, you got $7,000 that you're getting as a refund. And they'll tell you, so, okay, you come back tomorrow, we will give you a percentage of that money then, and then the following week you'll get the rest of your money.
Yeah.
Check. But most of them don't understand that when they're doing that, they're filing their stuff for them electronically. Well, to make sure that there's no problem, the IRS has to turn around and give a high sign that says, yep, these people are going to get this money. As soon as they find this out, then they will give you that first check. That little bit, put two or a third of it and everything will come to you, and then the following week they give you the rest of the money. Well, the money usually comes within about 2 weeks and stuff electronically into H&R Block's account. Bam. So while you got that, they've loaned you this money for 2 weeks, they're charging you 1,000% interest and stuff on it.
Oh my goodness.
Just so you can get your refund back in a short period of time. And most of them don't realize that you can file your taxes electronically and stuff yourself free, have the money and stuff direct deposited into your account, and you can have all your money. But we cannot wait to get that. So we just give these other people that money, and they are praying and stuff on them. And then you turn around, Ted, and then you look into our neighborhoods and where we at. I bet you can look around the Black neighborhoods in Tampa, and man, those car dealerships are popping up everywhere, all over the area. I know where I'm living at. I go into the Black area and stuff, and I see car dealerships. Man, I used to see they used to have 3 or 4 cars in their lot. Man, they got 20 or 30 of them sitting there, and we finance, we do all this, so they know income tax time is here. And between middle of January to almost the end of March, most Black people are getting their income taxes. So they're sitting there praying on them to get their money. So once the people who file the taxes get them, then they go to the car dealerships or the place where they can buy furniture and everything else, and they're ripping them off again.
Wow. That is horrible, man. That is horrible.
It is a game out there of how most of these people are getting rich. And in this whole thing and stuff, Ted, you're going to find out that they had this Consumer Financial Protection Agency that we got had and stuff during the Obama era and stuff now. Well, the director of the Consumer Financial Protection Agency and stuff left to go back to Ohio because he was going to be running for governor there. Well, once he left, Trump put his Treasury Secretary, not secretary, but his budget guy and stuff into that job. And before, the Consumer Financial Protection Agency was able to get people's money back. You know, a lot of people who were getting ripped off in these quick loan places and stuff, they were regulating them crazy. And now that Mulvaney and stuff has a job, he has removed all those regulations that they had put into force. And now they're back to taking money and stuff from the little people. I did an article and stuff, I guess last week or week before last, about how this lady borrowed $2,000 and she wound up having to pay back $13,000.
What? Oh my goodness!
Because she had gotten ripped off by these payday lenders.
Wow.
And
the thing about it, you know, when I used to work, you know, I worked for a major bank and years ago, and being a personal and loan officer. And I can remember people used to come into the bank and they would sit down in front of me. Can I borrow $200? Can I borrow $300? I mean, all kinds of people. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't do loans. I can get you a credit card, you know, if you qualify for a credit card. But, you know, the least amount of loan that a bank will do for you is $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then you still have to qualify for that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, they make you do a whole credit check and the whole thing. You got to be working and, you know, and all that stuff. But you walk into these payday loans, you know, if you're working, that's all they care about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I've had an emergency myself a couple of times when I was, you know, hey, if I needed some money, I've done it. You know, I ain't gonna lie about it. But the point is that the bottom line is if you don't pay it back when you're supposed to pay it back, then you're gonna get some interest on it. And so, but the point is when you have an emergency, I think it's a good thing that some of these companies were providing that, because it was so many people, you know, your car break down or you got to go out of town and you need a quick $500 or $1,000 because someone in your family passed away, you know, that's a good thing. But when these people are just predatoring on people and knowing, you know, and just going to just, you know, that's not a good thing, because there are so many people that's out there, man. They just, you know, a lot of people is like living from week to week, month to month,
Absolutely.
you know, and some of them day to day. So the point is that if people don't, I don't know what the thing is, man, you know, because, you know, we live in a capitalist society and people are about making money.
I tell my children, we used to have 5 when one of them passed away, but we have 4 kids and stuff now. And I tell them all the time, always save something. My mother told me this when I was growing up, when I was 10, 11 years old. Said, Edward, you save something every week. Save something every week. And she made me put a piggy bank up. And every time I come in the house, I put my change into the piggy bank and let it sit there. And because she did that and stuff to me, Ted, I've never went to a payday lender to get anything, because I've always saved a little bit of money for a rainy day. I have little pigeonholes and stuff all around my house that have money that I have saved I have went to a lot of them, Ted, and didn't even realize I had saved money until I happened to just open the drawer up and everything. I looked down there, and there's $100 in there.
Well, that's what.
My mother ingrained this into me when I was a little bitty boy. And I remember to the day, and I tell my children and stuff and everything all the time, pay your bills and then save some money. I don't care how much. If you don't save but a nickel, save it. I've had people and stuff who smoke cigarettes, and they stopped smoking cigarettes, and they took the cigarette money. These are white people now. They took their cigarette money, put it in the bank, put it in a jar every week. Whenever they had smoking cigarette, put it in a jar. At the end of the year, they had enough money to go on vacation.
There you go. And that's what it is. So that's absolutely right.
We have to understand that you don't give your money away to other people, that you have to find out. And I know it. I don't care if they're only making $8 an hour. You can save 2 pennies.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. That is and that's how I function and stuff. That's how I do it. Now my wife, she doesn't do that. Now she knows that I got some money pigeonholed away, and she'll find that money, and I don't even know she found it. and it's gone because she don't do it. And like I said, Ted, I got them all over. I got them in my closet. I take my money. I got a jar in there right now full of pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. Now, I might go in there and stuff next week or whatever, and my wife runs short of money. All my quarters will be gone, but the pennies will be there because she took them. But I continue to save all the time. So if I do have an emergency or my car break down, or I have to go to a funeral or do something like that, I've always got a few dollars and stuff laid aside somewhere that I can go and grab onto and be able to do what I have to do. What I happen to go to a payday lender to get money and stuff from them. So if we all came up with that philosophy and stuff in our community and everything, I can see them raising a lot of money. One of my pet peeves and stuff here is with our churches and stuff. You look at a church and you got 100 members and stuff there. Most of the people coming in, they're going to put $1 and stuff into the offering. So every Sunday, they've got $1 in there, $2 in there. So you can't do a lot with $1. But if you got 100 people putting in $1, you got $100. You can do a lot with that. You can build your church up and you can do that. So if we took that philosophy and brought it to our community, that everybody in the community and stuff, or in the church or whatever, the church decided that, hey, we're going to take these little pennies, nickels, and dimes and stuff into our little missionary offering, and we're going to take it and use it and stuff to buy things, to take care of our community, to buy books for the schools, or do things for our children, then we can benevolently be able to take care of ourselves, or create jobs, or loan money out. It's untold amount of what you can do, because most of the ethnic groups and stuff in our country and stuff, when you talk about Hispanics, you talk about Jews, you talk about any one of them, all of them and stuff have their own uniqueness and stuff about them, where they save and they take care of each other. And if we can do that and stuff, we can be a lot better off. So most of these things that we're talking about nowadays about how Trump is doing this, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. Well, he's got people who are behind him who have money, and they're going to give him money.
True.
So,
right.
We have enough to give us money to keep us going and everything, so we can stay strong or whatever in ourselves. So, I know that, and we talked about this earlier about how overwhelming all this stuff can be, how there's so much constant trouble going on there in that White House, and you're seeing all that confusion and stuff and everything, and you're wondering, man, how in the world can this country make it? and everybody is walking around here and they're just, well, we have to find our own stability somewhere, and where we find that at is up to us. And until we can find that stability and stuff and everything, these things are going to be overwhelming and stuff to all of us, to you and I and everyone around us. So,
well, I think personally, I think has a lot to do with the family. If you look at the history of this country, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Goodriches, all of the Fords, all of these, and you can even throw in the Trumps, the Kennedys, and all of that.
Kennedys, yeah.
It's all about family.
Rockefellers,
Rockefellers, right? It's all about family and what they did. If they brought it together and with the family, and I don't care if it's the mother with 3 children, and or whatever. You need to put your family first, regardless, and then come up with a plan. Say, if we can start a business, if we can do this, we can do that. I was just reading a story the other day. This lady in Los Angeles had a dream to start a restaurant. And it was just, she was a single mom. And she got her children to help her, and she got that dream done. She started that restaurant, and a very successful restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about family. Now, if you can bring in friends to help you out too, that's wonderful, and you should do that. But I think that we are not a monolithic people. And let's just face it. We all have different. When I say we, I'm talking about African American people.
Mm-hmm.
We sort of, all of us have different political persuasions. We have different religious persuasions. We have all kinds of outside influences, and so therefore, when you try to bring everybody together, that's a hard thing. We've been trying to do that for years and years and years and years. You have all these organizations that's happening right now that's out there, and it's just that with lack of a better word, I think they got us pretty much whooped to a certain degree, because we got a lot of millionaires and what have you, and a few billionaires, but that money is not being put to use in the Black community. When it all boils down, if those multimillionaires is worth $300, $400, $500 million or what have you, if those Black folks that's got that kind of money will invest just $1 million a year, and they come together, and we got like over 15,000 Black millionaires, multimillionaires in this country. Over 15,000. And then we got 2 or 3 billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
If they just invested $1 million in a year, or maybe 2 million, and say, okay, we're gonna tackle this issue right here that's going on in whatever city. They need a recreational room, this community or whatever, and what have you. And then ask the other people around the country to get involved and say, okay, this is our project. This is what we're going to do. We're going to start. This person has a great idea. That we found a person had a great idea. He wants to start a business, and we're going to invest in his idea, and we're going to make sure it's done right. The administration part, the finance part, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that right there. But we can't seem to do that. A lot of the other communities are doing it. They're starting restaurants, all kinds of restaurants. There's a reason why you see a lot of Italian restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
Greek restaurants, Asian restaurants, Mexican restaurants, Latin restaurants, all kinds of different ethnicity, that's out there doing business. And then they break off from that, they do other kinds of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
But
and you spoke about something, Ted, since you brought that up, about how we in our communities and stuff are not talking about doing things for ourselves. And when you spoke about this earlier before we came online about our Black media, and you spoke about those Black newspapers and stuff, and how most of them out there do not talk about business and stuff in the Black community. They may talk about who's got the latest shoes, who's got this, and who's boyfriend over
Sports
there
and
messing
entertainment.
with somebody else or whatever and everything, but they do not. We have over 200, you said, black newspapers out there
Over 200.
with millions of readers, and none of them are talking about how to improve their community, how to do business
Well,
and
I
stuff.
wouldn't say none of them. I mean, it's a lot of them that's talking about it. A lot of them are trying to do things, but it's in a small way because the capital is limited. The money, the funds are limited. And the banks try to help. I just saw that Bank of America gave City of Los Angeles a grant, a few $1 million, to do a certain thing for that community. But the point is that a lot of the things we can do ourselves. But what we're doing is we're doing a small scale, and it's hard to really do a national thing. And if you look at the 10 largest cities and what have you, and I don't care, you go through those cities, man, and every time, if you look at the communities that's in those cities, you can go right on Google and Google what's the 10 worst cities in Houston, what's the 10 worst, neighborhoods in Houston, what's the 10 worst, and most of them are black. Because you know why? They don't have no businesses in there, in those communities. They don't have the adequate schooling in those. Most of those people are trying to get out of the school system and go to a private school or a charter school. So that's the problem. So anyway, we know that it can be solved. We know those solutions can be solved.
Mm-hmm.
We know those solutions can be solved. So I'm just wondering, when are they going to be solved? But and I know we can't solve them because we don't have the finances, we don't have the capital, and then we got the brains. There's a lot of people that got the brains. There's a lot of smart black people out there, man. MBAs, CPAs, lawyers, all kind of smart black people, and they have the solutions. It's just that it takes capital, and and that's what I think. But anyway, let me switch gears here because we're running out of time. One of the things that we wanted to talk about is we wanted to talk about over here, over there, and we got some things that's going on over there. South Korea, North Korea. It's a bunch of crap, man. I mean, those Koreans is going through some things. They don't know what to do, man, because they know that this guy over in North Korea, they don't know what he gonna do. And then United States, they ain't even sure what the United States gonna do now. So they gotta look out for their best interests.
Well, the ironic part about that whole thing and stuff, Ted, is that Trump, about 7 or 8 months ago, when he was messing with the North Koreans and everything, he brought up the idea about the South Koreans and the North Koreans coming together and doing something. I mean, just off the cuff. And now that the North Koreans and the South Koreans have decided that they wanted to come together and stuff, and the Winter Olympics and stuff that are being held there in South Korea, now you're having President Trump and Vice President Pence, or whoever he is and stuff, over there now trying to break up that coalition because for some reason or another, they don't want the North Koreans and the South Koreans to come together and solve their issues or whatever. So I don't know. I'm kind of confused and stuff and everything as to why Trump started that whole thing, and then now that he's seeing that they're coming together, they're now don't want it to happen. They're trying to throw a wrench and stuff into that works or whatever. But there's something I'm hoping and I'm praying that something good comes about this whole thing with the North Koreans and the South Koreans, because the dictators and stuff of each one of those countries and stuff and everything, or the president of the South Korea and the dictator there in North Korea, they are governing people, and the people in North Korea and stuff don't have what the people in the South of Korea and stuff have. And
well, that's an understatement, bro.
Right?
Let me tell you, South Korea is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It is amazing, man. I was just reading about that country, and man, they got over 62% of the people in that country has a college degree.
Mm-hmm.
They have. Do you realize that they were saying that the workforce average, this is 2014, they said the workforce average, according to the report I was reading, make over $90,000. You know what the American at that time, 44,000 was the average. $90,000. Those people over there are living good.
They're living very good.
And
they have put forth that effort and stuff, Ted. That
they're workaholics, man.
Right, they're workaholic that we have stopped, doing.
They're workaholics.
Right, and we have to realize and stuff that the educational system and everything is becoming far more superior than what our system and stuff has become, and we are constantly deteriorating our educational system and not allowing our populace and everything to educate themselves to become innovators. If you look at South Korea and stuff, they have a lot of innovation and stuff coming out of that country. A lot of innovation coming out of
they got
good things.
They got a lot of top companies that do business here.
Right.
And they have dealerships and what have you, make cars and all that. But the fascinating thing about them is one thing I found out is that all over the world, people come see them to get trained to be stewards. They have one of the greatest methods of training people to be stewards. People flying all over the world, and they have a training center there to train people to be stewards because they have one of the best training systems as far as how to treat customers on a small, on planes and what have you, and how to act and have the different, the disposition and everything and that right attitude and what have you. That was, to me, I thought that was fascinating because, that's one of their things.
And to get back to what I was talking about North Korea and stuff being and stuff over there, they have the ability and stuff now to combine some things and start doing some positive things between both of those countries and stuff to relieve some of the tension over there in that area. Because North Korea and stuff, because they are so isolated and stuff now, they're creating all kinds of instability and stuff in that region. So if North and South Korea can come together and start doing something and everything, that's going to relieve a lot of tension and stuff there in that region. And that was one of my questions and stuff about why Pence and Trump and everything want to continue to have confusion and stuff going on there, when if you can bring those two countries together some kind of way to let them start doing some things and everything, that's going to reduce a lot of tension over there, a lot of instability that's going on in that area or whatever. So,
well, I mean, I don't blame as far as the administration not trusting this guy. I think that's one of the things. But the one thing about South Korea is that in the article I was reading, they were saying that $11 billion at one time, South Korea was paying more than 50% of the military, because they're building a whole new military force for the U.S. because, we're partners with them.
Right.
And they're going to pay out of the $11 billion that they're going to invest into a new military base. They're going to pay $10 billion of that.
Mm-hmm.
So they got the money, they got the funds, they got the education, they got the people. Now this guy is starving his people.
Mm-hmm. and that's exactly the point that I wanted to make, that the people in there are suffering. But if you start, you have now them coming into the Olympics. So that means that you're having a start of a relationship and everything that can be good for both North Korea and South Korea. Because with people in there starving to death and everything, they would welcome having to be able to come over to South Korea and have South Korea start trading with them and everything, and create
think about this,
some harmony and stuff there. Go ahead.
Think about this though, Ed. Now we know who's dealing with North Korea right now. China, Japan,
and Russia.
All of these people, and maybe even Iran. So what I'm saying is that because you know, they put the sanctions on North Korea, and so they had to deal with, you know, but a lot of these people in North Korea, you know, they're sort of like, they call them, they're Koreans, but you know, really they're Asian, you know, Chinese. So a lot of them Chinese from, you know, and they left for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom, you know, because there's hundreds and hundreds of history in that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they go way, 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 way back.
Centuries, yeah.
Centuries. So what I'm saying is that what's happening is he realized, and he said, "Hey, look at Russia. Russia is intermingling with the United States. look at China. China right now has got more businesses almost than America." American business all over, you know, in China. He said, and so he's looking at these people, you know, and South Korea. He's saying, hey, we can do the same thing what China is doing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But he sit up here and isolated himself, thinking in my mind, he was thinking that the United States is going to try to take my country from me, just like they did over in Libya, you know. And try to kill me, you know. So that's his whole thing, you know. So I think personally, that's what's going on right now. He's trying to be like, he wants to be like China, but he's going to have to back off. He got to stop talking that stupid stuff and be like my man X over in China and be diplomatic.
Well, if you been looking at the news and stuff here, Ted, he has not created any more problems about nuclear weapons and stuff coming in there and all this other stuff going on. I think that if we are not very, very careful and stuff about our relationships with these other countries and stuff over there, especially in the Far East, we have taken ourselves away from them and become isolationists. Now, their trading pact and stuff that we had with NAFTA and with the TPC and all that stuff that we wanted to Trans-Pacific trading agreement and stuff that was going on out there, and Trump have divested himself from that. Well, those same entities and stuff that he has divested himself and stuff from are now becoming trading partners. They've already signed agreements and stuff to start trading. So when you do that, you have left the United States sitting out there isolated. And with that being said, this allows North Korea and stuff to come in and start trading and stuff with South Korea. And just like you said, start trading with a lot of other folks around there and everything, and stop all that other old big talk or whatever they're about, you know, I got the biggest button over here for the nuclear weapons and all that, and dealing with Trump. Well, Trump himself, 45, has created an environment and stuff to where North Korea can become profitable and stuff now, because they've already found out that even though they have told them that they couldn't do this and couldn't do that, there are ships coming in to North Korea's harbor and bringing oil and all kinds of trade and stuff there.
Man, they're doing so many undercover stuff, man.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable what they're doing and stuff and everything. So, and because they're doing this and everything, that old boy over there, you know, the old dictator, you know, he's getting quiet. He's not saying a whole lot, because the other people there, I realize that he's sitting there and they don't like, even though United States is supposed to be a very powerful country here, North Korea sits right there. They're neighbors to all these people.
Yep.
So you not gonna let some foreigner come into your neighborhood and beat up on your neighbor. And that's what's going on there. And I don't think the Trump administration and stuff realizes that what's going on here and the detriment and stuff that they can cause and stuff because of what they're doing. And we as a country and stuff and everything and stuff now have become marginalized and stuff, where we are not as powerful and stuff as we used to be, even though we spend a tremendous amount of money on our military. And we talked about that with this budget that came up, where they giving something like our military now is going to have something like $800 billion a year budget and stuff now and everything.
Absolutely.
For our military. And
well, see, that's the problem right there, because it's good to have might and you know and you're strong and you have the forces and all of that. But the problem is that if you look at it, you know, we spend what more in 1 year than 10 countries, the top 10 countries on our military budget. Yeah,
probably all of them.
Yeah, and so the thing is that it's a sad thing to realize that, you know, you have to be diplomatic, you have to be smart and savvy and do business where your country can prosper. You look at China right now, they're loaning money to us. They've been doing that for years.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because they don't spend. Now they're upping their military might now. They're starting to increase, you know, their military. But for years, they kept their budget very low, you know, compared to ours. You know, as far as that goes, spending money on military. So China right now, they at what, $13 trillion a year. They already predicting by in the next 15, 20 years, they're going to surpass us. And we're doing 18, 19 trillion a year in GDP. So the point is that they have been using their money wisely and realizing, and they're spending their money and investing in other countries and taking their resources out of other countries. You know, China basically for the last 50 years or more, they've been raiding Africa, all kinds of countries in Africa and everything else, doing things for their own country, you know, making money. So even though they're supposed to be a communist country, okay? So, you know, that communist crap and that all that stuff is malarkey because, see, they're out there making money, selling products and doing all kinds of craziness. You know,
capitalism is taking over, Ted. You got to say it. Capitalism is taking over. Capitalism is taking over the communist countries. And all of them, the capitalism.
When that money start flowing, you know, and eventually they're going to start having casinos in China.
Well, they already have them over there in Hong Kong.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, Ted, we got a couple of more things we got to talk about here. We get to the end of our show here. You got anything for the big connection at all?
Well, yeah, I do. I have 2 Chronicles 7:14. I'm going to read it from the King James Bible. And it says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. That's what I think our people need to do, Black folks, because this is our land. Humble ourselves and pray.
And I got one here. I got one here from Romans in the King James Version, Romans 8. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Hey, and on our segment on the holistic health, I want to sort of kind of, as far as expound on this. We have a shortage of doctors. And you know, we have a shortage of holistic doctors, medical doctors, you know, that prescribe prescriptions. Holistic doctors basically do all natural kinds of things to heal you and what have you. But the thing that's going on, and what I think while we're having a shortage of doctors, of course, you know, because of the increase of usage of healthcare and that kind of thing because of President Obama. But in 1974, there was a guy called Alan Bakke, the Bakke case. He went to the Supreme Court. He had been denied admissions twice. And he sued the University of California, Davis Medical School. And the reason why is because back then in the 70s, you know, people were trying to rectify what they had done to African Americans they set up a lot of companies and schools set up affirmative action programs. So they set up this program saying, okay, if every 100 people that we admit, we want to admit at least 16 minorities. Now that 16 minorities could be just about anybody, because back then it wasn't just for Black people, which it should have been, because we the ones were deep and starved in slavery. But it was for any minority, 16 out of 100. So he got wind of all of this and he sued them and won the Supreme Court case 5-4. So now all the universities for the last, up until now, they're scared of admitting anybody that's not what they call really qualified and somebody that's got a better score on this or better grades on this or whatever. They're scared now. And that's why we have a shortage, because people just say, well, what's the sense of becoming a medical doctor? I'm not going to get in because, I might like this or might like that. And I can't, I can always improve and become better. But, being a doctor, it used to be the doctors were the smartest people in the country. Guess who the smartest people in the country now? Engineers.
Hey, well,
engineers is classified as smartest
they
people.
Go to school.
They
go to school longer. Yeah, they go to school longer. So,
but the doctors, but the thing is that even if you had an average general practitioner, you know what I mean? Everybody don't have to be an A student or B, I don't want no C doctor, but I mean, but the point is, if you know what you're doing and you love what you do, and people want to become doctors and they want to help children, they want to help people, they can fix broken bones and what have you. It's a sad thing, man. This guy is on his head because they already predicting by 2030 there's going to be over 100,000 doctors shortage. It's going to be a shortage according to AAMC, Medical Doctors Association. So I'm just saying that if anybody's out there that want to be a doctor, don't give up. I had a cousin who wanted to become a doctor back in the 60s, and it took her many years before she did. She left Chicago and went to Utah, of all places, back in the 60s, to go to medical school. So I'm just saying, don't give up. Don't ever give up. If it takes until you 40 years old to become a doctor. Matter of fact, we have a longtime friend, high school friend, whose daughter is in her 40s. She went to I forget the name of the country, but she went to another country to become a medical doctor, and she's in her 40s. So don't give up becoming a medical doctor if you're out there and you have that desire. You don't have to be a nurse, or you don't have to be a physician assistant. Get that MD.
Yeah, those numbers that you just gave, Ted, are very staggering. 100,000 doctors shortage and stuff there that we're going to have here. And you have to take in consideration that a lot of the doctors that we have nowadays and stuff, they're going to be retiring, going off or whatever. So if you don't have that pipeline coming in to take the places of the existing doctors, along with the requirements and stuff for more doctors, then that shortage and stuff might be a lot higher.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. And the thing about it, the United States spent $3.2 trillion on healthcare last year alone. Think about that, $3.2 trillion.
Absolutely. And healthcare is probably going to be one, other than the military, healthcare is probably going to be our number one money getter and stuff out there as far as what's going on, especially with the baby boomers and stuff going up there and they're retiring and stuff, and they become a part of that healthcare system because they're getting older. So there's going to be a lot of money and stuff being spent on healthcare, and I want to caution our audience and stuff to realize that when Trump and his buddies and stuff enacted this $1.5 trillion tax cut that we got going on here, that they all of a sudden in their rush and stuff to enact this were using some voodoo figures and stuff to show that they
What you
were,
call it, voodoo?
it was voodoo figures that they were going to be able to pay for this stuff. And really, it's not. If you taking $1.5 trillion and stuff from your economy, and then you've got these other costs and stuff that are coming online, because this healthcare thing is going to be it's not going to stop. So we're going to be looking at they've already and stuff. They are enacting different procedures and regulations and stuff with Medicaid. I wrote an article and stuff last week about how you have a lot of these governors and stuff out there now who are trying to get their rules and stuff changed for Medicare, to whereas if you can't be on Medicare if you don't work.
What?
You can't be on Medicare if you don't work.
You can't be on Medicare if you don't work. What kind of
Medicaid? I'm sorry. Oh, Medicaid.
Oh, Medicaid.
Can't be on Medicaid if you can't be on Medicaid if you don't work.
Right. And the same thing when it comes to the housing thing.
But the same thing applies and stuff with Medicare and Medicaid. Most of your Medicaid people out there don't work because they're either children or they're seniors.
Yeah.
Because most of your seniors and stuff who are in these nursing homes, facilities or whatever, or assisted living are on Medicaid, because their Medicare won't pay for everything, so they're using Medicaid funds to do that. So how can you enact a rule or regulation saying that you have to work to be on Medicaid? That means that you're planning on kicking off a bunch of senior citizens and stuff out of the nursing home because Medicaid is not going to cover them. Man, this is going to be a one heck of a thing and stuff, and we need to start listening to what these people are doing out there, especially the Republicans. They're going to have to pay for this $1.5 trillion tax cut thing, and they're going to be doing that on the backs of these poor folks, taking away their benefits, taking away their social safety nets and everything. And just like you just mentioned about the property thing, rental properties and stuff and everything, and the Section 8 and stuff, they're taking that away. They're throwing people and stuff out of these houses and stuff. So, hey.
hey, 45, they put 45 in there, and now the Republicans can do what they want to do because they got that Ayn Rand mentality. So
Aaron Rand, huh? Aaron Rand and her disciple, Paul Ryan.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
there's quite a few of them.
That's her disciple, Paul Ryan. Yeah,
there's quite a few of them that has that mentality. So we just have to deal with it, and we'll figure it out. We're here to inform people, and we appreciate anybody that's out there listening. And when you do listen, you have any questions or if you have any subject matter that you want to bring up, bring them to us,
Absolutely. We are out there on Facebook, and if you got any comments and stuff, check us out on Facebook and leave us some comments, and we're going to try to improve upon what we're doing. And hopefully everyone will have been enjoying our articles and stuff so far, and enjoying our program that we have on Saturday. So we're looking forward to next Saturday seeing you guys again.
Absolutely.
So we're going to say goodbye. See you later.